Welcome to this rainy day in Pennsylvania, and what you're listening to is the audio feed from a live stream I did yesterday. So kudos to everybody who's in here and who's seeing this on Tuesday for its broadcast on Wednesday. I'm sorry, the video you're seeing is just rain coming down outside because I don't know the rules about broadcasting Google Maps, so I'm not going to say anything to the tune of "as you can see," because the people who are watching this on YouTube can't see. Anyway, this is the planning video, or the very first planning video for Regular Car Review's Pacific Fister. It's going to begin either traveling from Philadelphia or to Harrisburg and flying from there to Los Angeles. From there, we'll spend a few days, maybe a weekend, and film a few cars while we're there. Definitely the smoking tire is Matt's said he'd help out by lending me the million mile Lexus for this as a vehicle to use. And also Corbin Goodwin, the builder of the Zero F Skiven RX-7 and the Jetamino. I want to meet him finally and perhaps do a review on the Jetamino if it's still holding itself together, as well as film some other cars. Now, I'm very unfamiliar with the LA area, only being there 2 or 3 times previously, so I am not going to know my way around or where there are safe places to film. But I was taken to the top of the Snake, and there looks to be a nice place to film at the top of that, where everybody else films. So if we go there, that looks like a nice place. Or perhaps some beach parking lots or other places where you can switch your camera to from photo to video mode and not attract the attention of any sort of park rangers whose sole job it is to hunt you down and find you. So, our plan is to fly to Los Angeles, spend a few days there, and then get in the million mile Lexus and drive north. Our first stop will be the Bay Area, and we don't know where in the Bay Area we're going to stay. We'll definitely find a hotel and set up shop there for a few days. And while we're in the Bay Area, we'll film a few cars. Unlike the Southern Stab, where we stopped in multiple cities, the Pacific Fister will only have 3 stops, I'm afraid. LA, the Bay Area, and Portland. That's it. But we'll be staying longer in each city instead of just coming in, film, and then leave. So, I am unfamiliar with the Bay Area, so I don't know where a good place to stay is. I do have a Hilton Honors account, so I'll be staying in one of their chains to build up points, because that'll be necessary for RCR versus the UK, because I would want to use all my Hilton points in the UK, because that's the smart move, because the US dollar takes a crap when we go over there. So if you can cash in all your points in the UK, if it's a 1-to-1 thing, hey, you'll make out all right, provided that's how it is. I don't know what good places to film would be in the Bay Area, and I'm interested to hear your suggestions. The easiest thing for us is to find a public place that has a parking lot and be able to do most of our filming there. The most time-consuming thing for regular cars is filming the low rolling shots with the homemade Steadicam. Of course, for this trip, we're not going to have the Steadicam, because that's a foolish thing to check. That thing weighs too much. You'd never be able to explain it to the TSA. And so maybe I would only travel with one camera bag and maybe a few vacuum mounts. and be able to film reviews with that. So we'd have to get by with some other ingenuity with getting those low rolling shots. Anyway, I'll pay attention to the stream in a few minutes. We just need to get the facts out, and then I'll talk to the stream a little bit. From the Bay Area, we'll head north to Portland. And Portland's the end of the trip, so sorry, Seattle. But Portland is going to be the conclusion of the Pacific Fister. But we will stay a few days in Portland. Because unlike the Southern Stab, where we didn't get to see, I didn't even get to go into Atlanta when I was there. So I want to be able to get a chance to see the cities, to do something that's not car-related for a day or two. Hang out, that sort of thing. Will we do meets? Well, that depends on how comfortable I get from now until then with having internet notoriety, a characteristic to which I am still becoming accustomed. Anyway, so in Portland, again, find a hotel, set it up as a home base, and then drive around the area to film. It would be very neat to film at Mount Hood. That would make a wonderful backdrop, although that is 2 hours from Portland. But if we set aside an entire day, that's not completely out of the question to be able to film there. The only question is, would volunteers be willing to follow us and make the trip out there for a day, film, and then come back? Now, our route from LA to Portland. If we have time, I'd love to do PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway. I've heard lots of things about it, and it sounds beautiful. Now, it's okay if we don't do it the entire way, because I'd really like to keep this trip under 2 weeks. And if you mosey along chugging up Route 1, which is PCH, you're going to be going 45 miles an hour as opposed to the highway where you can cruise at much higher speeds. But it's okay if we do a little bit of it, say only up to Big Sur and then back again. Now, when we return, we'd return by the highway, and we have 2 choices on how we want to return. Either all 3 of us. Oh, that's right, 3 of us, not 2. It'll be myself, Roman, and also Blake Wrong. Blake Wrong, formerly of Auto Week and currently of the Hooniverse and the Peterson Museum, is interested in joining us as our 3rd member, as our West Coast liaison, and also someone who knows how to drive in LA. So he'll be able to drive the million-mile Lexus out of LA. And also when we get into San Francisco, like, hand the keys back. Okay, Blake, you drive in the city. This makes me nervous. So he'd be able to do that. Now, when we get up to Portland for the end of the Pacific Fister, I don't know if all 3 of us will return. It's possible that we may get on a plane in Portland and just head back to Pennsylvania from there, or maybe the Roman will just get back on a plane, head back himself, and Blake and I would drive back. You can do Portland to LA in one day, although it is hell to do. Although if at least 2 of us, Roman and Blake and myself, do that, if you keep trading off drivers, we could do that. So you'd at least need 2. Plus Blake would have to go back anyway. What else? That's really it. So let me check my timestamp here, see how long I'm going. I don't want to eat up too much of your time. I've been at this for 9 minutes. So I'll probably go it for 5 more. So this is the end of the facts things, and for those people watching on YouTube on Wednesday, this is the end of the. Now I'm going to talk to the stream. So you're welcome to continue listening to this as I talk to the stream and answer questions. So I'm just going to go down the stream here and talk. So Die996 says, you don't know good driving until you've driven in Barcelona. I don't argue with that. SM0GGI says, just like Roma. Not sure what that means. Die996 says scooters, big wheel and small wheel, naked bikes. Heck, I've seen a guy use a CBR6. I think they're all talking to each other. Okay. Die996 says, I wish you'd come here to Spain. Our roads are really tight, and that's great to test cars, even at legal speeds. Us going to across the Atlantic will happen in RCR versus the UK, which I hope to happen in 2016. No promises. I'm not going to even begin thinking about that until we get back from the West Coast. ZKRR says, when is the Texas trip? The Texas trip will happen during the extended Operation Vagabond Falcon. That is goal number 3. Right now we're talking about goal number 2 on Patreon. And thank you to everybody who donated on Patreon. You're the reason that RCR can travel like this. Pacific Vista is goal number 2. Operation Vagabond Falcon is goal number 3. Goal number 3 and 4 will overlap a little bit because Vagabond Falcon is us buying a first-generation Ford Falcon and then using that as RCR's car. And also, it'll also be for an extended documentary about, can you drive yesterday's regular car as today's regular car? Because that's what the Falcon was made for. Designed by Robert McNamara, and some final touches were put on by Lee Iacocca. That car was the American Beetle. It was as basic as you could get. And I love the first generation because it's so futuristic looking, even though the original one was 144 cubic inch straight six with a single barrel carburetor. 90 rampaging horsepower at the crank. Could you still use that as a regular car? And that would be part of Operation Vagabond Falcon. And we would use that car for future road trips. SideJam98 says roadkill and RCR. I'm not opposed to that. Sticky Potato says, have you considered going to a racetrack like Laguna Seca? I'd love to, but I don't know how we could afford it. Mad Motors says, Mines Roads up Mount Hamilton and Livermore. At least East Bay area is a good road. Matt Ferry filmed the Tune 135 up there. Interesting. Frank the Cat says, there's lots of opportunities for car guy personality meetups in L.A. Frank the Cat say TST Roadkill, Universe, etc. Macus87 says, any chance for an ice road regulars or Mr. Regular meets the Dalton Highway? Is that something in Alaska? I've lived in Alaska for 5 months doing work up there, so I'm familiar a little bit for the Maritimes in Alaska, and someday it's not out of the question that I would return there, although hell, that's an expensive plane ticket. Adam2204 says, regular cars, if someone were to tell you they could ship you to another country, no questions asked for a few days and a few months out, would you be able to, or are you too limited time-wise? I've had offers like that before, and they all sound crazy. I'm gonna pay you to come visit me. I'll send you a plane ticket. Like, realistically, what would you say to that? I'm gonna get on a plane because someone on the internet says, come visit me in Cyprus. Right? Z-Car says, I hadn't heard of the Texas trip as being part of Vagabond Falcon. I guess I'll have to wait to hear more then. Vagabond Falcon is going to be extended road trips. That's part of what that car is going to be for, to be going on extended road trips. Because Vagabond Falcon will last probably for a year. And provided people still help us out with Patreon to fund that. Nabio says, hello, Mr. Regular. Please do more German cars. More German cars are on the way. And other German vehicles. Brad Dragon 5 says, what did you do in Alaska? I'm not comfortable with talking about it right now. Nothing bad, but it delves into my past. I suppose at some point I'll talk about it. Say if I ever get on the Joe Rogan Experience. I'd be willing to talk about that, but right now, it's nothing weird. It's just my personal life and RCR don't mix. At least not yet. So it's just, kind of private about my past. Quinn Singh says, regular cars, you should come to New Hampshire and see our terrible roads. Well, that's what OVF is for. Die996, he's saying a lot. Skyjam98 says RCR face reveal. Not if I can help it. Sticky Potato says, not a car. Frank the Cat says, more German cars? Swedish cars. Well, there is a Swedish car on the way for you. He was just responding to me. Okay. Die996 says, will you see you come back to off-road bikes? Yes, very soon. Although the one I rode, I didn't ride off-road, and most people who own this particular motorcycle, even though it can go off-road, don't take it off-road. How are we doing on time, by the way? We are at 15 minutes 30 seconds. We can keep this going for another 4 minutes. Any other questions for me? I'll gladly answer to the best of my ability. Die996 says, here in Europe, we had stuff like the original Fiat 500 back then. Well, that's cool. Marcus87 says, any leads on getting your hands on an H2? We had an H2 that we were going to do, but the guy kind of disappeared on me, so I'm sure he had his reasons. So, I mean, I had some emails for some H2s, but I forget where in the country they are. Oh, yeah, something very important. If you have a car for me somewhere between LA and Portland, on the West Coast, send me an email with Pacific Fister in the title, because that will help me organize my emails. So if you have a car for me somewhere between Portland and LA, send me an email with the words Pacific Fister in the email title. Include your name, a picture of the car, and a phone number where I can reach you. Again, name, Pacific Fister in the title, picture of the car, and a phone number where I can reach you. That's good. So, some more questions here. Nabi says, if you ever plan to come to Germany, they have really great guided tours in every major car factory. That's cool. Iridium RE says, what car have you most regretted not being able to review due to scheduling issues? Chevy Cavalier. I had one, and then I think it blew up, or I never was able to do it when the guy still had it. It's surprised me how hard it is to find someone who's a car enthusiast who also has an old 90s Chevrolet Cavalier, because that car was my high school years. Although I didn't own one, it was everywhere, and I want to do a Chevy Cavalier, and I don't have access to many of them. Manning Sang says, nice brat video, thank you. Quinn SG says, can you make a guide on buying used cars? It would be interesting to seeing your advice. Better than me is Freddie or Tavrish from Jalopnik. He has better videos on doing that than I do. Something Turbo says, how are Roman and Sally doing? Roman is doing well. Sally has a dent in her door where a local kid backed into it, but it still works. Sally only has to last for 2 more years, and then the Vagabond Falcon, whatever it will be, will take over. Mr. Pickle 5 says, regular cars. How are you going to do a trip in California when it's going to be out of water soon and nothing but fires? Man says, did you see the guy on our cars with a Grand National with one? I did see that one with the guy with the Grand National with 1 mile on the odometer. Looked like a lot of those cars were sitting in that warehouse with no car covers on them. That was depressing, although I'm sure the owner has had his reasons. Zebra Dragon 5 says, are any Geo? Oh yeah, I'd love to do a Geo Metro. How are we doing on time? I think we might have to wrap this up soon. 1 more minute. 1 more minute to go. Any other questions? Sidejam98 says, realistically, what would my next car be? Well, easy. It's the Vagabond Falcon will be my next car. A 1961 to 1963 Ford Falcon. And it must be 4 doors. It must be 4 doors, and it must be automatic. I want that 2-speed Ford-O-Matic slush box. I want it as regular as it can be. Adam244 says, my brother had an 88 Z24 in high school. I mostly remember the smell of the old Chevy and driving out of the country to the tune No Sugar Tonight. Yeah, good song. Also towing him out of the ditch in the winter. Die996 says, any plans on doing a rally prepped car? No, I don't have any plans on any rally prep stuff. SM0GGI says, what kind of car would you get if Sally would die right now? Well, if she would die right now, we'd just go right into Operation Vagabond Falcon, and we'd find a Falcon. I'd probably have to fly somewhere to find one. I mean, they're out there. Most of the nice ones are in the Midwest or in California, and they're hovering around. If you want one, to just buy one, if you want a first-gen Falcon to just buy and drive, you're looking at about $5,000 to $8,000, $10,000 for the super nice ones that are show quality, which is double what I paid for Sally. I paid $5,000 for a Honda Fit, and I'm prepared to shell out $8,000 for a '61 Falcon. But if I had to just get a car, I'd get a Toyota Tercel. Because if it survived the smoking tires, all cars go to heaven. One of those things will survive anything Pennsylvania roads could throw at it. All right, so that's it for this. I'm going to stop recording now. I'll talk to the stream a little bit more. Thank you so much, and thank you for supporting regular car reviews. We'll talk more about this later. Bye.